Welcome back to Strange Rebel Gaming. I'm Brianna. Today is a very special day. I say that all the time, but this time I'm for real. We're going to be talking about To the Moon with special guest, ThatCybertChannel, aka my friend Dan.
What's up?
Hey.
How you doing?
Go check out his channel. It's super awesome. Go right now!
And then come back. Go there, then come back. Open up two tabs. Two tabs side by side.
This is 2017, people. We have tabs now, okay?
If you don't know about tabs, Control T.
Let me tell you about tabs. That's not what we're here for, though. That's not what we're here for today. Today, we're going to be talking about To the Moon, and this is very, like, talk show hosty stuff. We both have coffee, and we have my little coffee table. I recently played To the Moon. If you haven't checked out that playthrough yet, you should definitely do so. One of the reasons that I played that game is because it was patron requested by Alok. That game was for you. You told me I had to play it. It was just the most amazing thing. You were sure that I was going to love it. And then Dan and Alyssa have a very special connection to that game. And they were also consistently insisting that I would play that game.
I recommend it to anyone that plays it on YouTube.
Yes.
That
plays it on YouTube or plays on YouTube?
Oh, plays on YouTube.
Sure.
Like, I think it's an important game for gamers, even though there isn't much game in it.
Yeah.
But like for us, that is like my best Let's Play on my channel, and I cried, like a, I don't have a good analogy, I just weeped.
Yeah.
I let
like
the water
a weeping willow.
Yeah, that game, it hits, there are very, very few triggers that get me crying, and it hit like, just like in sequence, like.
Yep. Okay, so I've been there. I've had those moments in games. Everybody knows. You know, one of the most watched 30 seconds on my entire YouTube channel is the scene in The Last of Us with Henry.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that one's rough.
That's the most watched 30 seconds on my entire YouTube channel.
Really?
Yeah, people just go for that, and then they watch those 30 seconds, and then they leave.
Wow.
It's very weird.
That's weird.
And I don't know if it's got a creepy reason behind. I don't know. People are weird. But mostly I think it's just because people resonate with seeing emotion on camera, and a lot of the times there are some YouTubers that you go to be like, ha ha, happy fun time, I don't feel anything. And then there are people who don't want that for that moment, and they come to my channel because they want to feel things and talk about feelings, and not like the stigmatized kind of way that it usually is, which you guys know I have a huge problem with stigmatization of feelings. So with all that context, you guys, did you see my To the Moon playthrough?
I was able to watch some of it, but then I was knee deep in edit hell.
I'm so sorry. At the end of To the Moon, you know, credits roll, created by Kevin?
It's Ken.
Ken
Gao? And this is something I've been struggling with because, shameless plug, I just did a review. It's probably up right now.
Go check it out.
Tabs,
people.
Tabs. But we spent like a good 15 minutes, Alyssa and I, going, Ken? I think it's Ken. Ken.
Like intermediate A, like how I say carrots?
Yeah.
And January?
Yeah, sure.
Ken.
I call
Gao?
it Ken Gao.
Gao, yes.
Gao.
Okay. So the credits roll, created by Ken Gao. And here we are. I've played the game.
Okay.
In its entirety.
Okay.
And I'm not crying.
Okay.
And not a single tear.
Not a single tear. Not a single shingle.
Not a single.
I'm crying for you. Jesus.
Not a single tear had been shed.
Interesting.
Not a shingle.
Not a damn shingle.
Not a shingle. Why?
Okay.
Why didn't I cry?
All right.
It's not that I wasn't ready. I was ready. You guys, I pulled my tissues out. I said I'm ready, and then I didn't.
Oh, and this is something that Alyssa and I actually talked about when we were playing the game, is that what I cry at and what she cries at are different.
Okay.
So, like you were saying, is that you cried at the Kenny part in The Last of Us.
No, Henry.
Henry, sorry. Henry
is The Walking Dead, which I also cried. Not during Kenny's part, but during a different part.
Yeah.
But yes.
But you, I think we both say that is a tragedy. And there was a certain moment in To the Moon where, spoilers...
Tragedy. Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and make a blanket rule of we're talking about spoilers today.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen our playthroughs, go now, tabs, come back.
Come back.
Come back.
Come back.
Listen to this discussion because the sequel's coming out on Thursday. So you're going to want to know about that because people will be talking about that. So you're going to want to know about that. But in order to know about that, you got to know about this.
So listen up.
So go watch the playthroughs and then spoilers. Here we go.
All right, this is a story. When Joey dies, towards the end of the game, that's what got Alyssa. I didn't get, it didn't hit me. I am a sucker for sentimental garbage.
Okay.
And
it's not garbage. Okay.
Okay. I consider it garbage because as soon as I start to feel sentimental and that stuff, my first instinct is I need to boot up Doom and I need to kill demons.
That's a garbage feeling. Yeah, it's not
bad.
Though. It's not though.
It's
but
not.
Yeah,
no.
Sure.
So the moment with River and Johnny on the log, and suddenly revealing that the paper rabbits, the reason it was blue and yet had a yellow stomach was because of the constellation, and all those things started connecting for me. I lost it.
Yeah.
Just seeing that the start, because initially about halfway through, you kind of feel that it's something of loving someone with a disability and the struggles in that, and then ultimately at the end, it didn't matter that she had a disability. It was this pure love story at the very beginning. Yes. The disability did have a factor in it, but it was just this moment of she didn't know how to express to him, don't you remember the log? Sitting on the log and looking at the moon?
Sure.
Because his memory basically was erased from his childhood.
Sure.
So
basically in explaining the entire good part of the story, there's something about the fact that all I can say is that's problematic, that's very problematic for me. I have a lot of problems. A lot of this game was very problematic for me, and I can express why. So here's what we're going to do today.
Okay.
I want this game to love it. I want to love it. I know there's a lot of good stuff there. As I was talking about it on the stream afterwards with people, they were like, "But Brianna, don't you understand?" And I was like, "Nope, I didn't get it." Swoosh. And it wasn't just, and this is something that I think I specifically said, it wasn't like the things went swoosh. It was just the things just went here and not swoosh. You know?
Yeah.
It was the things came here and I was like, "Hello, things." But I didn't.
Bye.
But yeah, I didn't take the things in and let it get me. I don't know why. And there's so many reasons, and maybe it's because a lot of it I overthought. I wouldn't say that's a wrong thing.
No, that is one of the dangers of playing that game now in its life cycle, is that how many people told you that you were going to cry before you played?
A lot.
And the same thing.
That's what I was ready for. I told you guys that.
Yeah, so part of that is you put a sort of a barrier, or you're going into it with either higher expectations or lower expectations.
It's true.
So for us, we hit about mid-level. So we were we were told, "Oh, we're gonna cry," and I kept waiting for it, and it didn't hit until that one moment where it unlocked all the little walls I put in front of my heart, and just
the puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So let me start with saying that one of the first things that frustrated me about the game is that I almost felt because of the interface, which was none, and the fact that I could either play on a tiny box this big, or I could play in full screen, but I wouldn't be able to see my recording equipment.
Yep.
That whole shenanigans, and then there's no volume. The volume is 8,000.
Yep.
And that's just what it is.
Yep.
And then the fact of there's no settings adjustments or anything. Oh, except there is a settings. There's a settings if you press F1, which I found by just pressing all the buttons on my keyboard.
Oh, that's fun to know.
Yeah, there's a settings, F1, and it does have the ability to some motion flicker or something, turn off or on motion flicker adjustments. But that's it, really. And also, you can't use your mouse to adjust the game settings. You can't use anything except tab. Okay.
This is the one thing I will say about the game. It is not much of a game. I think it's very clear when she's getting there. The thing is made in RPG Maker XP. And
tell us about that. I don't know what that is.
Okay, so RPG Maker XP, the very first RPG Maker came out for the PlayStation 1, like 1998. I remember being super hyped about it and then heard it was garbage.
Nerd right here.
I'm on a freaking gaming channel. What do you expect
I'm not
from me?
saying I'm not. I'm just saying you are.
Yeah. Right now, when you think about indie games, as far as development's concerned, usually your mind goes to Unity or Game Maker Studio.
Sure. Okay. Mine doesn't, but yeah.
Okay. But for you, maybe some of you do.
But yes.
Those are like two of the most popular game engines, and Unreal Engine.
That's the one I hear about.
Yeah.
But not really necessarily for indie stuff. You just hear about that in general.
Yeah, general.
Yeah.
But a lot of indie games are made using Unity most often than not.
Okay.
Because it's easy and like it's got a ton of tools for you to get into it.
Sure.
RPG Maker is like it's like if Unity is Adobe Premiere.
Oh God.
RPG Maker is iMovie.
iMovie.
So.
Okay.
So I mean. And he's even gone on record saying, like, I wish I never made this game in RPG Maker because it's super limited.
Okay.
Because you basically you can create some of your assets, but, most of that game, and I can't confirm this, I haven't talked to the man, I need to talk to him in person. A lot of those assets were probably stock.
Yeah.
That just came straight from the engine because that's basically the tools that you're given.
Sure.
So when it comes to
trying to make a game or make a painting in Microsoft Paint with the stamp tool,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like it can't be done. It can.
You could do it.
You wouldn't want to.
So I mean, it's his like third or fourth game. It's clunky. It is very, very clunky, and there's not much game in it. And that's probably one of the things you ran into is that
it's not even that. It's not, because all of the stuff I play, a lot of the stuff I play is storybook style, I play Life is Strange, Walking Dead, the King's Quest, I don't mind having a story play out and not having much to do but move around. That's not what I'm saying first and foremost. First and foremost, I'm saying, where are the freaking settings? Okay? Like, it's not hard. I don't think it's hard.
I honestly have no idea what RPG Maker would be able to give you. I mean, it can give you
a volume button.
Would be great.
Yeah.
Would be great.
Yeah. Maybe for the sequel, put that in your sequel. A volume button.
Yo, he's like hitting publish right now.
I know.
It's too late.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
But in retrospect, like...
Sure.
Comparison. To the Moon. Came out 2011 November.
Sure.
It's clunky. Yes. It's not great.
Yes.
Okay. Compare that to one of the most popular games on the platform right now, FNAF. Five Nights at Freddy's.
FNAF.
I would argue that To the Moon, as clunky as it is always going to be better than a FNAF game.
In gameplay-wise?
Even gameplay-wise. Even though, like, To the Moon is walking around, talking to a thing, maybe picking some stuff up.
Yeah.
And then every now and then there's like one mini game.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of liked it though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of liked it. Again, I don't have a problem with that. That's not, and that's nitpicking, right? Like,
right,
what we're really here to talk about is the story, okay? Mm-hmm. And why didn't I cry?
What?
That's the only reason that I am having you here to talk about this.
The name of the video. Why did I not cry?
Why didn't I cry? Okay, so let's talk about the things that I liked. I liked the whole hide and find the little memory things. Mm-hmm. And when you say you're going to talk about in your review the idea of the structure of the game, I always think, and I said this in my playthrough, I always think that having memory gives depth to your story. No matter what kind of story, no matter what kind of media it is, having the idea of time has passed and we have memories that create a legacy of who we are, and these things can be in a toy, these things can be in a plant, these things can be in just random little collections strewn throughout our lives. And I think that concept is so true to the human experience that it will always make your game stronger. Mm-hmm. I love that part of it. I love the idea of, And the premise, too, from the very get-go, it's very interesting. These two scientists come into this dead man's house, and they're like, we will grant you one final wish. Whatever it is, we'll do it. Yeah. Like, that's amazing. That's an amazing premise. And the idea of, like, we have to go back through his memories to learn more about him to be able to plant the seeds. That's great. Yeah. I love all of that. Yeah. I get caught up in the details, though. Mm-hmm. I do. From the very beginning, I don't know who River is.
Yeah.
I don't know who she is. And because the first thing you see is her as an old lady. The first time you see her, she's like old. Mm-hmm. She's not old, but...
The first time you see her, she is dying.
She's dying on her deathbed, and she's like, I don't want the treatment, right? She's denying the treatment. Mm-hmm. So she's very clearly saying, I want you to do the house. I want you to finish the house. I want you to live here. I don't want the treatment. I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. She's being very eloquent. She's being very clear. She's communicating very well, even though her condition is late stage. And so from the very beginning, the scientists strew these little details throughout of like, this lady's cuckoo. And they say it like multiple times. And so I'm like, okay, like she's clearly just like got a condition, but it's a condition that derails her. Like it's like, my first thoughts were like severe PTSD or like dementia, things that change who you are as a person. And so when it was revealed that, and it was never revealed, but in learning who Toni Attwood has written this book, it's about like Asperger's / autism. She's on the spectrum. Mm-hmm. And I've never seen it presented like it's presented in the story. And so that threw me off really hardcore.
Right. I mean, and this is the thing. This is really fresh in your memory. I'm having to, like... Remember this was my last year, so I'm like, yes. Dialogue. Because they definitely... at first, she does feel very, like, put together. She seems like she's okay. There's a fundamental disconnect you can tell between them, but you think it's more of a marital... Marital? That's the one.
Problem.
You think it's more of, a disconnect between them, of them falling apart and not understanding each other anymore?
Yeah.
It does feel kind of left field with how it's presented. And, honestly, I'm not sure the amount of research he's done into the disease, because the whole seed from it came in late 2010 after his grandfather, Ken's grandfather, passed away.
Okay, real life then.
In real life. And that's what triggered the idea for this. And if he put it out in November 2011, it's a pretty quick turnaround.
That's a very quick
turnaround. So, yeah, in the details, could River have been presented better? Possibly, but I myself don't know or have experienced interacting with someone with that condition.
I have, though, and I have a lot. Like, I know a lot of people in my life, family members, that have that fall in various places on the spectrum. And I know how important treatment is, especially, and they say this in the game, it's so important to get treatment early on. And it's interesting because I have a huge problem with the way that condition, with the way that autism and Asperger's is stigmatized, and that prevents people from getting it's not even really like treatment, because that makes you sound like you're sick, and you're not sick. You're just different. Like the whole game almost makes it seem like she's crazy because she has autism. It's like, that's not how it is. Right. And so to me, that was really frustrating to be like, oh, she has like dementia. That's a sickness. She has severe PTSD. That's a sickness. Like to me, it just wasn't, it was almost like they were trying to like teach and like acceptance, but in it, there was so much stigma presented in the game. Like how the scientists were like, she's cuckoo multiple times. I was just kind of like, I don't know if I buy that. I don't know if I like it.
Well, okay, so the couple things. One is we could start to see the disconnect between the game between us, because you have more experience with the spectrum than I do.
Yeah.
So you know more details than me.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to say I'm an expert. I'm certainly no expert. And that's the thing. If Ken Gao was an expert, I would hope he read Tony Atwood's book if he's putting it in there. I would think that he did a little bit of research while he was writing about this game. Or maybe Ken Gao has a very specific person in mind. And it can present that way. And that's totally valid. It's just not my experience with it and didn't ring true to me. So, and also, I never thought of it as something that comes on. Like, the thing about the way how they kept calling it late stage, and if you had gotten treated earlier, it would have been so much easier. But I'm kind of like, dementia has stages. Like, Alzheimer's has stages, and you can be in, like, late stage Alzheimer's or late stage cancer. But I've never thought of the autism spectrum to have stages within a person's life.
So, in that sense, when she's on her deathbed, I believe it's actually a completely different illness.
That's never conveyed.
Well, I mean, okay, so stepping back through everything. So you start with him at her grave.
Yes.
And then you go back, and then he's playing the song to her on her deathbed.
Yes.
The player assumes she has a disease. She's dying.
Yes.
You back up a little bit more. He's in front of the house, and he's like at wit's end. He doesn't River keeps saying, "Finish the house, finish the house."
Yeah.
When they could save her life by
expensive treatment. Yes. That's not indicative of autism, is it?
No. I mean, okay.
See, that's where I'm at. If she had a different disease and just that, I could understand. But the fact that it rolled it all in together and it wasn't clear that she has autism and a cancer, maybe. That was never said. I had no idea.
I assumed, I was like, this is something else. Because, autism doesn't kill.
It
doesn't. So it's got to be a separate disease.
I just didn't get it. It just, wasn't... And it's not that I only play games where facts are hitting me in the face. In fact, I have a huge problem with that. But the fact that those, little puzzle pieces just were never out there, I got very confused.
Also, one of the things that I will say between your playthrough and my playthrough, the big difference... We had days to sit and soak and think and speculate. You just went...
Yeah, and maybe that's a key, too, is having someone to discuss it with you. And that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to have you on, because I had such a rich conversation at the end of the stream just with the chat.
Yeah.
And everybody had their own opinions about some of the symbolism and some of the structure and some of the grayer areas, and I had such a rich conversation just talking about it with them, and already I was like, oh yeah, that's a good point, I guess I could see that. Okay, if it goes like this, I can reconcile it in my head. So it's also possible that part of this game is interpretation.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big...
And it's supposed to be, kind of.
Yeah, because you're presented with this man's memory.
Yes.
And obviously, I think the bigger story here is the relationship between River and Johnny rather than just Johnny himself. Alyssa played Eva.
Yes.
I played Neil.
Yes.
Many people in the chat said Neil was my spirit animal.
Yeah. I sense that. See, just hearing that combination, I'm going to go through and watch your playthrough, because the dialogue, I can also say, is one of my favorite parts of this game. Mm-hmm. Very snappy, funny every time, and a good foil, an important foil for the drama of the game. That
was one of the big things that I think helped, is that I was able to separate these characters rather than, I am everyone.
Yes.
It's I am these, she is these, and... We kind of got a bit more perspective when we're reading it back, because it's very... And it happens during our playthroughs. Every now and then I read her line or she reads mine, because sometimes, like we said before, the text boxes kind of appear on each other, and you're like, ooh.
Yeah, that does happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
did it too. Sometimes I would have my Eva voice on, but it would be Dr. Neil Watts that would be speaking, and I hope no one noticed, because it was still my voice. But yeah, I mean, that happens, for sure.
And I think that's also one of the things that I hope is changed in the new game is how the dialogue boxes, because even going through this and putting together the gameplay for my review, I'm like, that box is covering up half the characters.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I want to, like...
And how easy would it have been to just change colors? For boxes.
For RPG Maker, tougher.
What?
Yeah.
To change the color of the boxes.
You gotta realize, this is iMovie. Or, like, this is... When you say, like, I want my dialogue boxes to look like...
That's like trying to make a movie in Paint.
Exactly. And so...
But that's different. You literally can't.
Well... Because I've played around with the system a little bit, and a lot of it is, like, set your dialogue boxes, and you're like, okay, this. And that's... It just, like, blankets it.
Really? Okay.
If he were to make the game in, like, Game Maker or Unity or one of these other ones, he would have a lot more control. And I think he actually used something different for the iPhone and Android version.
Oh.
When
did that come out?
Earlier this year, I think May, I want to say.
All right, friends.
It is the HD remake.
The HD remake of 4-bit technology.
Yeah. So, once again... It's part of the clunkiness of the engine he was building on that, you know, sometimes can pull you out.
So hopefully in the sequel that will be improved.
Hopefully. I'm not, like...
Yeah.
I'm not doing that, because you didn't play the minisodes.
No. Should I? I have them.
They are, I think... I mean, if you're planning on doing Finding Paradise, you're going to probably want to.
Okay.
Because those are less like... Oh my god, this is so sentimental, I'm gonna cry. This is like, what the fuck is happening?
Alright guys, if you want to see that playthrough, leave a comment down below, let me know. Because I'll do it, but if you guys want to see it.
Yeah.
So okay, so we put a pin in something.
The relationship,
I would like to take that pin out of wherever it was, and put it on the table, right here.
Okay. Don't step on it.
Pin on the table.
Sure.
Ouch. Okay. So, Johnny and River's relationship. I don't see the love in their relationship. I don't see it. It's not there for... I don't look at those two people, and I look at those two people and go, they met each other when they were kids, and they feel connected, and that's a good thing, but they don't actually have anything else. And it's actually kind of sad that they're together, because I interpret it this way. And I know this isn't the way it was intended or the way that anybody else interprets it, but this is how I interpret it. Mm-hmm. They had this one memory together. They both kind of like lost that moment because he lost his memories and she never saw him for a while later, right? They both kind of lost this moment. And their whole rest of their life, their whole rest of their relationship, they're trying to chase that moment they can never get back. And that's like the saddest freaking thing to me. It's like they don't even love each other. They don't even want to be together. They're just trying to chase this memory of what was. Okay,
so to that point, because the what else scene is to me the most important scene out of that entire thing, because it is a direct parallel to their very first meeting.
Yes.
Because the very first meeting, they're on the log, and they go, let's make a constellation together. Yes. Little kids having fun. And they look up, and they're like, I see a rabbit.
Uh-huh.
All right, well, what else? And so he goes, well, this. And then she goes, what else? And this. And they make the constellation using, like, her going, what else? Because she sees it.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things of something I personally can't talk as an expert to is her development disability. She clearly saw the entire thing, and so like to her the game wasn't like, oh, and that she like saw it all over and was enjoying Johnny like learning this thing.
Okay.
So you have this very important moment, and this very last moment where she is on her deathbed, she is dying, and it's just like you said, it's this desperate moment for her wanting to like get him to remember that first particular meeting. Because, like, to her, that like, and you can see it throughout the entire thing, is, like, she's there, she's given, they make the constellation together.
Make the constellation.
The hacky sack.
The hacky sack.
And the platypus.
And the platypus.
The platypus is probably one of the more important things as well. Because
the platypus, I very clearly got that connection, and that was actually the moment that I felt the most emotional, is when you know, you see this weird platypus toy throughout the entire thing, and that platypus is actually almost a metaphor for her, right? Because it's a little bit odd, a little bit unique, a little bit misunderstood, and he gives it to her as a gift, as if to imply that her uniqueness is a gift as well, which I really like the beauty of that. And that was the moment that I felt the water.
Yeah, it was coming.
I felt, as soon as he gave it to her, I was like, he's going to give her the platypus. And then it was gone. That was like it for me. But it was there.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that also, you know, the platypus, it does in like a symbolistic way represent River herself, but also it is a very, it is one of the only significant physical things that ties that scene to her, and that's why and like you watch her and she's always carrying. Yeah. She brings that platypus to their first date in the movie theater, being like, "Oh my god!" Like, you know.
Well, and she has it when he asks her too. She has it on the staircase there.
Yeah, and so like to her, that one particular moment, making that constellation with that young boy, was such an important part of her life, and when Joey dies and the beta blockers kick in and that memory is ripped away from...
Put a pin in that too. Beta blockers.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're going to be on the same page on that one.
Okay.
When that memory is ripped away from him, that's like her as a character, you know, disability aside, she doesn't know how to properly interact with other humans.
Sure.
Like, even if it wasn't a disability, there are people out there that, like, you know, they just don't, like, severe introverts, they don't know how to express it, and so she doesn't, like, like, for me, I immediately imagine, like, that moment, like, after the beta blockers and everything kicked in, the memories removed, like, River meeting up with Johnny and being like, oh, hey, you want to go look at the constellation? He's like, I'm sorry, who are you? And what?
Right.
And, like,
just, like, ultimate tragedy.
And for her to just be like, okay. And, like, she wouldn't know how to handle that, so she just, like, decides to not be a part of it.
Right.
And then when they meet back up in high school, or I guess it was
whatever
high school?
Age it was.
Yeah, whatever age it was. Having that platypus was this one reminder of this friend and this moment that was so important to her, and then it became, you know, the rest of her life. She got to spend it with that person, but it was always this sort of, like, battle to try to, like, get him to remember.
I just don't see it. I just don't see her, like, okay, and one of the big things that keeps coming up is she can't communicate. Remember when we were 5, we met? Well, it's just not backed up by the rest of the story. And the thing that I keep coming back to is the whole entire plot line of the house. You know, the entire time she's like, you've got to finish the house. It's so important to me. You got to finish the house. I'd rather die than you not finish this house. And she's very clearly able to communicate that. So what makes it different? What makes... she's demonstrated for the whole first half of the game as someone who can communicate her feelings very clearly and what she very clearly wants. Strong, independent, you know, willful, all good things. And then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, but her entire adult life she hasn't been able to communicate a memory when she was 5.
To your point, I will say this, is that especially towards the beginning, the characterization is kind of two-dimensional initially.
Yes.
It's like, Newell's the goofball, Eva's the straight edge, Johnny's an old man, and River is this sort of, like, eccentric old woman, and then going through their memories is when we start to open up and see more about them. Sure. So is the characterizations perfect? No. Clearly no.
My argument is very much no.
I'll concede that, like, there are some certain jumps of logic.
Yes.
It's to the degree of what threshold you have that you're willing to let things go. And if you were saying it is about the details for you and the small thing, I'm a big picture guy. So when I look at this story, it's good to me because it does a very good job telling a story that keeps us guessing while going backwards. We know the ending.
Yeah.
We know how all this is going to end, but yet at the same time, I still found myself guessing what was going to happen and speculating to the end.
Yeah.
So when I stand out and I look at the big picture, I'm like, this is great story structure.
Yeah.
If you do dive in and really start taking apart, there are flaws.
Well, and I think part of what makes it so hard for me is because of the structure is why I go into the details so much. It's because they're dropping little breadcrumbs. And I'm picking up breadcrumbs and I'm like, I know where this is going. And that's like the exciting part is guessing it and then twist, you're wrong. And then like, that's the good part of a story is like you're picking up the breadcrumbs and you're just nose down looking at breadcrumbs. And then you pick up like a pen cap and you're like,
why?
I'm on the wrong trail. Shit. You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, for some reason, or it's like, it's almost like he was like not dropping breadcrumbs in a trail. He was just kind of like scattering them and like you kind of had to like weave your way through violently. Like I almost felt like that because then the other thing that we did put a pin in is the friggin' lighthouse. Why did she name it? Why was it so important? I know they talked about lighthouses on the log. And she was like, I imagine all of the stars are lighthouses.
That's what it was. Okay,
so she has a thing for lighthouses. I get it. But why did she name it? And why did it have to be that one? I don't, like, I know also she got married there, but like, why? Like, why the fuck was it named? I don't get it. I thought it was a child. I thought it was a metaphor for a child they had lost. But maybe it's just a metaphor for the fact that they never had children. And if that's also attributed to her autism, I also have a problem with that.
Okay. Well, that is not attributed to autism. Can we just...
That's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't...
You got... Okay. I can't remember enough about the lighthouses to talk to about this point. I do remember it being important. For me, the platypus was like the most important part.
Very important. And that the platypus was the most clear, which is why it had the strongest effect on me, which I told you. But the lighthouse was a breadcrumb that had no end. It had no ending. Like, I almost feel like what you were saying about Ken Gao having less than a year to write this story, it makes so much more sense to me because it almost is, he's like, breadcrumbs. They'll all get there eventually.
See, I don't see it as a scattering of breadcrumbs. I feel like it is a trail of breadcrumbs, but from what we're talking about and how we're, piecing all this together, it's more like a trail of breadcrumbs, and you're told, pick up only white bread. And then, like, every now and then there might be a wheat or sourdough in there. Just think about it.
But, okay.
Just think about it.
I mean, the metaphor makes sense, but I'm saying a good story picks the shit out that doesn't matter. That isn't absolutely essential. If this part wasn't in there, the story would be fundamentally different. That's good storytelling. And that's something that we see in almost every single one of the good story games that I play on my channel. You see that in The Last of Us especially. I mean, in narratives, you have to weed out the stuff that doesn't get you to the final end.
The thing about Last of Us, the thing about Life is Strange, The Walking Dead, these are full teams with a lot of money and a lot of thing going on with it. This is one dude.
Okay.
And
maybe my expectations are quite high.
Yeah, you're running into the fact that everyone said, like, you're gonna cry.
Yeah.
And like, sometime, it's like, Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yes.
You love that game.
I have not finished it. No spoilers.
No spoilers. But you would say that you like that game.
Yeah, I love it.
I was never interested in it.
Okay.
It never drew me in.
Sure.
I never got a chance to play
but
it.
Robot dinosaurs.
Robot
dinosaurs. That's it. That's all you need to know.
But see, that's the exact point that I'm getting to, is that, like, everything isn't going to be for everyone.
Yes.
And I think this particular story, it's like, how do you compress an entire man's life into a 4-hour game?
True. And I didn't need that. And that's almost why I'm having this moment of, like, he almost could have simplified the story quite a bit and it would have had more impact.
There's a couple scenes that, like, if I were to go, they're cuttable and could have been moved somewhere else. Mm-hmm. It is the horse riding scene, as much as I love it.
Oh my god, yes!
And the scene right afterwards at the doctor where you find out about her autism, which is kind of I'll admit, it's very heavy-handed. It's like, boom, here's her condition. It's like...
But it also isn't. Because Johnny doesn't read the book.
Right,
so he doesn't explicitly name it. So if you're going to be that heavy-handed and like, she has autism, then just either choose to be that heavy-handed or get rid of it.
Right. Well, okay, so those two scenes are cuttable.
Yeah.
I could go like, you could have shared that she... Like, you kind of get the impression that she's off in some way from the high school scene. Like...
Yeah, and also from the scene where they're meeting with their old people friends, and they're explicitly saying, well, the condition presents differently in some people. Like, for me, I feel like I'm at least good at pretending to be normal. What's her name? Isabel?
Yeah.
I'm good at least pretending to be normal, and that moment, that's the story I want to see. That's so much more relatable than this representation of someone who is explained in the dialogue as someone who's gone cuckoo.
Right. Okay. Well, first, you can't look at Neil and take his side because he's the one that says it the most, and I think Eva's definitely the one that goes like, "There's something else," and he's just like, "What is this?" Because he's there to do a fucking job.
Yeah.
He's just there to like do his job, make take home a paycheck.
Yeah, and make people laugh. I get it. Comedic, sure.
Okay. So it presents multiple questions. Is that when did you ever see River's parents?
Never.
Okay. She was never treated early on for a condition.
Sure.
So the question becomes then was she in a foster home that just didn't know? Like being like halfway through this man's story of finding out that she has some development issue is one of these moments of being like...
Do you see them at the wedding? No, right?
No, they're not at the wedding.
Okay, they're not at the wedding.
Like,
so we have no idea what the deal is.
We have no... Like, her story is... We don't know a whole lot about. We know their story, and we know Johnny's story, but we don't know her story.
We don't know Johnny's dad.
Which was another interesting thing that I found.
And that's another thing. They said the word cuckoo one other time, and it was in reference to the mother, who was just mad with grief. But that doesn't make her cuckoo.
Yeah, okay.
And we don't have to say it.
Okay, well, I mean, it's once again, the story's not perfect.
Yeah.
But overall, like, when you step back and you look at the big picture, it is done it's done a good job of going from point B to point A.
True.
And also, at the same time, telling a completely different story. Question, did you pick up the pills from the car?
No. I didn't. I don't think I did.
So,
I don't think I did. What happened there? What's the deal with that?
So, once you discover that his memory's gone, and they, like, step out and they're like, what the hell are we gonna do? You're asked to go to the car, and if you go to the car, you open it and something falls out. And a lot of Let's Players don't pick it up. It's
don't you have to move? You have to pick something up from the car.
You pick up. You open the door, something falls out, and then you pick up what's in the car. Not a whole lot of people catch that something falls out and you can pick it up. So there's one item that you pick up that is the thing that you need.
Right.
The second one is a bottle of pain pills prescribed to Neil Watts.
Okay.
And this is
I picked that up and I just didn't understand.
I don't know, because now I'm really interested because there's something that happens after the credits between Neil and Eva. Did you get one last thing at the end?
I don't remember.
Okay. So you have story
Let's just assume they don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, all right.
I know what you're talking about.
All right,
but let's
so
just assume.
from B to A, and this is what I think Finding Paradise is going to be more about.
Right.
And he's shifting focus.
Okay.
It's like this one was very much about, this was in a way for him kind of like a love story to his grandpa about death and like him contemplating what this all means. But the greater story he's starting to tell, and you'll discover this in the minisodes, is what is Neil's deal?
What's Neil's deal? Neil's deal.
So when you open...
Neil's got a deal.
When you open that car door, pain pills fall out. Eva confronts Neil, and because, like, why does he have prescription, like, basically OxyContin?
Sure.
Yeah, it's like, strong shit.
Very strong.
And she's like, what's going on? He's like, I was going to tell you eventually, but it's fine. It's just something I'm dealing with. It's lower back pain.
I definitely did not see that.
Yeah. He says something to the extent of like, he just threw out his back last week. If you pick up the pill bottle, at the very end of the game, after the credits roll, Eva goes, we got another call, we got to go. You start to walk away. And then Neil takes a step forward, and that same effect that you've been seeing, like when Johnny was dying and when River, like the heartbeat, the screen turn red, that happens, and then Neil takes a pill. So.
I'm intrigued.
That, and then the mini-sodes kind of...
Well, maybe I did see, because I do remember an unexplained flash. I gotta look it up right now. I gotta find out.
Okay, yeah, she gets a call.
Hello, Eva here. We're on our way. New patient? New patient. Let's roll. Right there.
Yeah.
He does it.
Yeah, he takes a pill.
Huh. Look at
yeah, your face is like...
I was like, okay, that was weird. Yet another unexplained plot point.
Yeah, no, you missed something.
Right. Yeah.
So, that particular thing is, Neil's story, and Eva in particular, is gonna become more important in finding paradise, because I think that's... I mean, as he was developing this, he realized, like, that's of the story. That's the story he wanted to tell.
They're good characters.
And when you play the minisodes, it's going to start asking a few more questions, especially the second one. The second one had Alyssa and I just go, like, scoot away from desk. What the fuck is happening?
Okay.
So basically what I'm saying is that when all this is taken considered, it is... at a big picture, if you're willing to forgive, some general characterizations and that sort of stuff, it is a beautiful story. But for someone like you that's very detailed, like, focused...
And that's so weird to me, because I am normally all about suspension of disbelief. Like, I'm not the type that comes at things with a critical eye. But I was almost mad because I wanted to like it so much, and because I wanted to be taken on this journey, and because I wanted this, like, gentle weaving of plot points to come together in such a beautiful way, and then, like, I was almost mad that, like, I didn't get it, and so I was like, well, I know I'm not stupid, so what's wrong with this game? And then all of a sudden I started over-critiquing in this way of, like, I don't... like, this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this 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 and this, and it just snowballed until I was like, I feel like I got cheated out of a good experience in this game.
I mean, and that's ultimately, like, the question, or, like, the what fundamentally was different about your playthrough of it and my playthrough of it. Why did I love it so much?
Yeah!
And
I know Alyssa is more of a player like me, too. So it's interesting that she had the same experience as you, though. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I honestly think it comes down to a few things. One, it was not a blind playthrough well, it was a blind playthrough, but your expectations were.
My expectations were high. They were. Your fault, not mine.
This is my fault.
Your fault.
I'm like, my expectations were about here when I went through. I had a partner to do this with. We got to have fun ourselves, like.
So let me ask you, did you play Johnny and she played River, too?
Yes.
I think that's important.
Could be.
I think that's important.
Yeah. And, I mean, ultimately, could have been, is that Alyssa and I were, in some way, because Neil is my spirit animal, we were able to latch onto one of those characters really easily and put ourselves into that. Maybe there wasn't something for you in particular to grab onto. So
let's talk about the beta blockers.
Yeah, that was the one thing that I was like, that's weird, but I will amuse. Continue.
Okay, so you just had to suspend your disbelief over the fact that someone just drugged this poor child to the point where his memory was erased. That's pretty,
it's really intense.
I mean, I would call that abuse. Personally, and I know some people would be like, oh, well, it's a mercy. And I'm like, if I was either a child who found out that I had been drugged to forget, Or if I was an adult that found out that had been done to a child, I would call that abuse. That's abusive.
See, now we're getting into some straight up Matt Pat game theory bullshit where we're like, think about this in particular. 1, River is untreated.
Yes.
2, Johnny is
mistreated or overtreated.
Overtreated. And 3, the mother is not treated as well.
Right.
I think it's fair to, like watching her and like seeing her like go from, oh, mother, all that to like suddenly like Joey always existed and she's just like racked with grief and all that.
Yeah, she becomes a shell, a shadow of a person.
Game theory. This whole event was put together by Eva and Neil's corporation for these particular moments, so they can go back and fix. They were sent in to clean up Sigmund. I think it's Sigmund Corps.
Sigmund Corps.
Yeah, they were there to clean up Sigmund Corps' mistakes for mistreating patients in the past.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Theory.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I can do this.
Okay.
I can do this.
Okay. Put some puzzle pieces together for me.
Because I
haven't played the other 2 minisodes.
Well,
so.
Because I think it's a really interesting fact. And once you play the minisodes, it kind of becomes maybe a little more clear. This could, it very well could be a thing.
Wait till I play the minisodes and we'll come back.
Yeah.
Put a pin in it.
Put a pin in it.
Bookmark it. I want to talk about that some more after I play the minisodes.
But that is part of the thing. That's part of the big plot gap in this one, is that it feels like out of everything, and I think this is like the fundamental issue with all of it, is that the doctors in that city suck balls. Okay, I follow. What I'll say is that there could have been a lot more research done within the treatment and the medical side of things, because it seems like, as we're talking, that's really where most of the problem comes from, is it feels like autism or Asperger's to you is misrepresented. Here's the thing. Go on. And I'm jumping off of what you're saying. Do you think River remembers and is specifically, and this is debatable, this is a gray area in my opinion. I don't necessarily think that it's the only argument to make that River is physically, consciously trying to get Johnny to remember. I think that it also could be subconscious. It could be, this is a faint memory for me too. This is something that I want, but I've pushed back into my memory over my 70 years of life or whatever. It's possible that she's not like, Johnny, please remember. Because otherwise I think, and it makes more sense to me for her character, knowing how eloquent she was about the past thing, it makes more sense if she also doesn't quite remember the details, but she wants help. She wants to go back to she remembers the emotion of the moment more than she remembers, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what she can't communicate. I mean, yeah, also look at it this perspective, is that she's, like when they got married or whatever, she had like fully just kind of accepted, like, maybe after the first or second time trying to get him to remember, she just accepts, like, he's forgotten. Maybe she found out about the beta blockers and that. Maybe she's accepted in that last moment. She like, it was just more like I remember this. I don't know why I remember this. You were there. Yeah. Like, I mean, and that sort of thing is just this moment of like the end of their lives, trying to, imagine that first meeting, but neither of them can really piece it together. Can really remember. Yeah, and then of course, like with the very ending of being like, like now they're both dead, and they meet each other in the afterlife, which for them is on the moon, and is this what? Yeah. What? Well, I mean, is it real or not is a giant question, but it's not a question. One is real and one is not. Okay, look. There's a scene at the very end. They're on the moon, and they're both kids, and they're on the log. No. It's like, is that afterlife, or is that just a metaphorical like experience being like, yes, they met up and stuff? Okay. It's a whole other discussion. No. Okay. One thing
was real life events. The other thing was a false planted memory in a dead guy's brain. Okay? Mm-hmm. The afterlife, debatable, real or not what we're here to talk about.
No, we are not.
Not we're here to talk about that.
Not.
Nope.
We play video games and say stupid shit on the internet.
We're not going to get into the afterlife talk. But I will say, so many people in the chat were like, but Brianna, they did go to because my biggest problem was like, the scene ends with them in the rocket, and the moon comes over the windshield. What is that called? Viewfinder? The rocket viewer? The clear plexiglass.
Yes, why is it
plexiglass?
Just say window.
The rocket's window, okay. Right? The moon comes up over the window, and then it's over, right? And then cut to credits, and then they go through the recreated false memories of their relationship. And I'm like, my biggest problem is it's called To the Moon, and they never step his ass on the moon. I didn't see a footprint on the moon.
Because that's not the important thing.
But it's important enough for them to get in a rocket. It wasn't enough for him to be on a metaphorical path because he's in NASA. No, they got him in the rocket, holding hands with her, and yet they didn't put a foot on the moon. That is the least... That they cut it off right before exactly where it needed to end, and that pissed me off. But here's the thing. Everybody in chat... Mm-hmm. I know you're just chomping at the bit, but I gotta finish this because it makes me so mad.
Mm-hmm. Go.
Everybody in chat was like, but Brianna, they did make it to the moon in the credit sequence. And that bothered me so much that 3 or 4 days later, I went back and watched it. And they didn't actually physically step their asses on the moon. No, they had this nebulous log that they sat on, and it doesn't even have the cratery surface of the moon. No, it's just a nebulous cloud that's supposed to represent the moon.
The physical going to the moon is not the important part. He goes.
It is to the scientists. That's their job.
Well, yes, they were told, like, I want to go to the moon.
Yes.
He doesn't understand what that is. When he asked for that request, he thought that he wanted to go to the moon. And that's when he realizes no, he wants to meet River at the moon. That is the important part. That is what makes this love story work.
I totally missed that. See, yeah. I thought River was the moon, and the moon didn't need to be involved because River represents the moon. So for me, there was 2 potential good endings. Forget the moon, or do the moon and not River. But instead, we had this mixed middle ground that I felt like was a total cop-out.
Going to the moon was so important. Yeah. Like, seeing River again was so important to him. And that's maybe why you never see him get, like, to the moon, is because as soon as he holds hands with River, it suddenly becomes incredibly clear that, like, I was just supposed to meet this woman again. Yeah. And I was supposed to meet her on the moon. And that is that one small moment where you have, it's like, the moon, you have the kid, River, and Johnny coming up and giving the platypus.
Yeah.
And that's why that moment is so important, is because it's this man, like, he realizes that things were rough with her. And that, like, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows.
Right.
Life isn't sunshine and rainbows. It's ups, it's downs.
Yeah.
There are moments of extreme, like, chapters. Yeah. There's, like, this is, I'm going to be moving soon. That's putting a chapter, like, end on my LA life. Don't worry, I'm going to be coming back. We're not really leaving. See, and stop it!
They are leaving.
We are leaving, though. But we'll be back. Anyway, like, there's chapters and there's sections. Not everything is going to be completely linear. That's not what life is. Life isn't going to be your perfect breadcrumb trail.
Yeah.
Telling a story, should it be like that? Yeah, it helps. But it is about a man, realizing that he forgot something, a moment in his life that was so important to him. And the only thing he had to go on was going to the moon to realize that.
But see, when you put it that way, it's like he does remember. He just doesn't remember. But he does remember.
But also...
And that's why I'm kind of like, maybe she also does remember, but doesn't remember. That duality just speaks to me in a much better way than she just couldn't spit the words out of her mouth.
Yeah. I mean, the thing... In conclusion...
In summary...
It's like, we didn't get enough of River and understanding her. There should have been more to her, like, that wanted to build her out more. But, like, he remembered only bits and pieces, because when they get to that childhood, you can still see the house in a little bit. You know that he's remembering something. So that just means that and we can't tell how much of that particular scene on the log that he remembered, because we couldn't go further.
Right.
But in the end, it is like there was always some sort of attraction to River.
Right.
Maybe he never really realized what it was until that part of his memory was unlocked, and he remembered her on that log, and suddenly going, "Oh my God, I've been living with this person, this perfect individual that I built up in my mind unexpectedly."
Yeah.
And I need to go to the moon now to find her.
Yeah. Ultimately, at the end of the day, there is nothing better to me than a game that can facilitate an hour conversation, an hour or more.
An hour and a half.
There's nothing better to me than that. And so just the fact that I was able to take this game from a different perspective from other people, and like my expectations were clearly too high. I see that now. But just in talking to you, I've remembered more good things about it, because my first playthrough, instantly I was like, this isn't what I expected. I have some problems, but now I can go back and play through it a second time. And without trying to overthink it or puzzle piece the things together, I can enjoy maybe the fuller structure of it. And kind of, now that I know the characters a little bit better, and now that I've had some time to process, maybe this is just a game, and this is another thing that I said at the end of my stream, maybe this is just a game you gotta play more than once. Yeah. You know, maybe it's a game you have to talk about with somebody. Yeah,
well, and this has been great for me, because I need to go change like 30 lines in my review. Because I took out a line going, the characters are kind of two-dimensional, and I'm like, no, yeah, they were. I need to put that line back in there.
Two-dimensional, yeah.
So I might go make some adjustments myself.
Yeah. So, but by the time you see this video, by the time you see this video, his review will probably already be up. So remember, tabs. People, you should have already had them open, because we told you at the beginning of this video. Don't open tabs.
This is a callback to like an hour ago.
Yeah, an hour and a half. Has it been that long?
Ah, yes, just a freckle past a hair.
Just a freckle past a hair. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I need to know, and I know some of you didn't even finish watching this video before you're slamming that keyboard, writing me a comment. So for the rest of you who have patience, write me a comment now. Now is the perfect, ideal time. Thank you for coming on Strange Rebel Gaming channel.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, everybody go check out Dan's channel. He has awesome scripted content. I love all of your stuff. I can tell that you put so much work into everything that you do.
Hours.
Days, he told me.
Yeah.
Before. Days.
Days.
Okay, so a lot of work into the stuff that you do, and it's all good shit. So, sorry for the cursing. This video just gets...
There's a point in time where it's just like, fuck it.
Yeah, exactly. Good. So, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it. You distracted me. Because that's the third thing I say. First I say, share it with all your friends so they can enjoy... Wait, that's the second time. I say, first, like the video if you enjoyed it. Share it with all your friends so they can enjoy it too. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for Strange Rebel Gaming so you don't miss the next episode.
That's all down below, unless YouTube is now in a holographic format, in which case, lift the video and click it
and then click it. No, and now comment below.
Now comment.
Now, but also open your tabs, go subscribe to Dan's channel, show his page some love, give him some likes, give him some comments, all that good stuff.
You're beautiful.
That's all.
You're beautiful.
You're beautiful.
Okay.
I love you guys.
I have to be on the road, so I'm...
Bye!
Cyber now!